Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Until they start asking you questions, and that's when stuff gets real. They ask a question and then they just stare at you like this. Why you wanna be officer? I'm gonna tell you guys my OCS or officer candidate school board meeting experience, a brief explanation of my journey to become an officer, and some tips, some tricks, and everything so you guys can get one step closer to becoming an officer. So stay tuned for more. So as you can see, I'm in my dress shirt. I just left the board. Rule number one, immediately. If you have extreme body change where you got really big or really large or whatever, please resize. And I put on a lot more muscle mass since I had that that actual suit. I was trying to shake the captain's head. I was like, I can't even extend my arm out. But this makes you resize your suit, so make sure you can kind of move slowly and feel comfortable. At first, I was going to research all the interview questions that they might present at me and write them down, refresh myself over with. Don't do that. Don't stress yourself out trying to memorize exactly what you said. What you should do, think of all the leadership related activities and have them outlined in your head. Not fully in depth, but you know, okay, at this leadership point I did this, at this spot I did this, at this spot I did that, and that's all you need to know. And then you can kind of just fill in the blanks when you're actually speaking with them. They're not going to be the exact verbatim, but they're going to be in the same bracket. So instead of saying your strengths and weaknesses, they're gonna ask it in a different way, but it's gonna be the same question. So when you hear something that triggers that question, you can just refer back to that leadership experience, and then you can answer it very sound and not be all over the place. I'm going in as a reserve officer. That's another video. I can say why I chose officer reserve versus active duty. Bank also too, when you're not driving to the battalion, getting recruited and driving me there. I drove up to recruiter's office, so I was there for honestly like an hour and some change. Spoke with the actual sergeant there. He was cool. He was kind of just briefing me on what to expect there a little bit and some questions that you should be aware of. And at first, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't even nervous when the whole process started. I wasn't nervous at all. But once I got there, everything just, oh man, this is real. So we walked through the it's like a long hallway, super long. When I first got into the office, I was greeted by the battalion leader immediately. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Okay, cool. Walked to the room, and then he kind of did what he had to do. When I sat down, it was a guy, and I guess his responsibility was kind of assigning people their jobs. But the difference between active duty and the reserves, you won't know your job in active duty until you completed OCS, when you get accepted into OCS. Reserves, I guess, is a little bit different. And I was the only person there. So we're sitting there, just kind of talking a little bit, small talk. So I end up so the battalion leader ended up coming back and kind of giving us a quick little rundown on what's gonna happen before we start. So immediately, right, and this is the pure definition, right? Shout out Mike Tyson with this. Everybody has I'm gonna say this again. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So you can have everything thought, what you're gonna do, how you're gonna do it, until they start asking you questions. Then that's when stuff gets real. So he goes, run the briefing, and then immediately he turns to me. This is before the OCS process the board meeting even start. He was like, why you wanna be an officer? Immediately, but he said it so fast. So I was like, imagine we just having regular conversation with the recruiter, and he just immediately just say, okay, we're gonna do a quick briefing, and then he looks at me and says, why you wanna be an officer? I was like, oh, okay. Oh, we starting this right now? He's like, so I said my reason. It kind of threw me off a little bit, not gonna lie, but I didn't answer the question. He's like, okay, and I saved that answer for when you go into the board. So pretty much then another person came in that was doing their officer as well too. I didn't have much time to talk to him or anything, so he comes in. So it's just me and another person. So they do a quick little briefing. So it's a board with 3 people, and it's a chair that's sitting right there. And I was in a business fraternity, and we have a thing that's kind of similar, but it's a little bit more like the atmosphere a little bit more ambient, but here is a lot more intense. But I was kind of sat there. So main thing, me and the recruiter walk in, because I heard a lot of times that they'll have it where the recruiter goes in, introduce herself, and then he'll leave, and then I'll come in there. But this time what they did is they had us both in there, and then he kind of did a brief explanation and said, hey, you're going to introduce him, you're going to leave, he sits down, we interview, we're going to make a decision right now on the spot. You leave, you talk to the recruiter, and then we make a decision. Bam, cool. So he introduced, recruiter introduced me, cool. And then I sit down. I sit down, right? But I like that they were very straight to the point. It was like, we're going to ask you 9 questions. That's it. and you good to go. We're gonna make a decision on what we're looking for, and let's go. Again, he asked me, why you wanna be officer? So I answered the question. Cool, I felt good about it. All right, cool. And the first person, that question was cool. He was very, and again, the intensity is a lot different. So I literally, they asked a question and then they just stare at you like this. Why you wanna be officer? They all staring at you the same way. So after I answered, and this is when I'm not really fully comfortable yet. So when he asked me, I'm gridlock eyes with him. I'm not even looking at them. So if you are doing the officer as an active or reserve, try to get comfortable. And when you do it, try to look at everybody else. Like when they answer like, hey, blah, 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 blah. Cause when he asked, I'm just looking straight at him. I'm not even looking at them at all. I was a little nervous, not gonna lie to you. So it goes to, I spoke to the other captain, the lady, and she asked me, like so random. I'm thinking about she about to ask another leadership question, and first thing she asked me was, tell me the officer core values and Army core values and how does it apply to your life? I'm like, that's a good question, but I don't know the Army values like that. I was stumped, but that wasn't a hard question, but I didn't expect her to ask that. And then that's like, I have to really retrieve that information in my head. Okay, what are the Army core values? I have to think in my head. And then they're just staring at you. They say, what are the Army core values and how does it affect your life? And actually saying it, it's like, if you guys know about editing, you know the Ken Burns effect when everything does a random zoom in. It was like that. Tell me the core values of the Army and how does it affect your life? And to see the zoom in and stare at me even harder, it's like this so awkward. And then they asked me a few other questions. They asked me like, what is my strengths and weaknesses? They'll ask you something like along the lines like, what's your leadership trait? What will make you a great leader? And based on your past situations or not. And be able to answer that very concisely and very direct. Save y'all some other questions. What is a decision that you made that was against the grain of someone that was above you in rank? Pretty much all leadership oriented questions. I feel like they went kind of light on me, because I heard in other videos that they ask very crazy questions like random school questions or livelihood questions or anything of that. They didn't really ask me that stuff. They asked me, this kept it very job oriented and leadership aspect based. So so some of the questions that you might need to know for sure that you can study on is make sure that you know like the roles of being an officer. There's a general, and this the overall dynamic between the NCOs and the officers. So if you know that dynamic of what you do and versus what they do, and you can kind of explain how you guys can work together as a team. So after they finish my interview questions, I end up leaving. I got and then I speak to the recruiter. Not even 3 seconds. They came back in there. Actually, like 2 minutes. Came back in there. I got accepted. I was happy. The difference between the like I was saying, the active duty and the reserves process is that it's only another step after that. So you have to go to, I think it's called USAREC, I believe. If I mess up the acronym, they'll send all your information there, and then they'll decide like if you get accepted in OCS, and then once you complete an OCS and how well you do, then they'll decide what job is suitable for you based on your results and your whatever your preference is. Like I said, that's another video for another day. Also, check out the video with me in the MEPS experience so you guys can be familiar on what to expect when you got your physical examination. I also have another video on my fitness channel about MEPS exercises as well too, so you guys will know what type of exercise to expect while y'all doing the examination, so you guys can prepare for it, and general military advice as well too that I have. So hit the subscribe button, like, comment, share, and I'm out. Go.